trying any place to find a place to do a video these days. Got weed blowers over here. Got compressors and big construction going on here. We've got a jackhammer going on down there. Just gonna have to be a little bit loud today. After all, it is a blog from San Francisco. It is a city, you know. So we're supposed to have big storms right now and large amounts of rain, and they pushed it off and pushed it off. Now it's pushed off till tonight and tomorrow. The problem is that the phone is interfering. All these phones are interfering with the radar, and they can't get accurate weather information. So they can't do the forecasting correctly, and we end up just sort of pie in the sky. Oh, it could rain, it could snow, could be hot, could be cold, you know, real easy stuff. But that's not what we're here to talk about, is it? Is it? Are we? Are we? Overpopulation. Now, I had a plan to bring some guests on this program, on this subject, but you know how that goes. Well, we'll try it down the road. The current population is this. We're expected to be 9.5 billion by 2050, 11 to 12 billion by 2100. In 1 year, that's 135 million babies born per year. There are 55 million deaths per year, so that gives us an annual growth. That's 80 million humans per year in the growth column. That's 220,000 babies every day. And every human needs food, water, clothing, and shelter at the minimum. But they're also going to demand transportation of some sort. So what is this telling us? Well, it's telling us that humans are squeezing every single living organism on the planet out of existence. Let's look at overshoot. Take a look at these. They're pretty self-explanatory. They can explain themselves. God, mouth isn't working today. Well, it's because it's actually 39 degrees. Gloves on the hand. Freezing out here. So, 250 years ago, the population was only 800,000. What can the Earth sustain with human population acting the way they do now? 1 billion, that's it. What's the cause of all this overpopulation? Well, that one's pretty easy, though I did find many different opinions on that. Oil is number one, medicine is number two, food production is number three. Now, the right wing would rather see it being poverty is number one. That's crazy. It's not poverty. Poverty itself does not cause children. So I do believe it's because oil has given us so much available food and so much technical abilities. Without oil, we wouldn't have had any of it, and we'd still probably be at 800,000 or somewhere around there. So here's another chart I wanted to show you. Now this is the CO2 count, and what they're showing here is the increase in CO2 just from the Australian fires. That's how much CO2 was pumped out. After all, it was eucalyptus, which is a very oily, sooty type tree when it burns. So the question has to be, what are we going to do about overpopulation? People can do so much. We can talk and talk to our neighbors and our young neighbors that are thinking about having a baby. Why don't they adopt a child or two? There are so many unwanted children around this planet. We don't need any more babies. Men can control themselves and use contraceptive if you can't control yourself. You know, this is half your fault, this overpopulation. With the thinking that men can go and appropriate as many females as they want without any consequences as long as nobody finds out. It's not his trouble, it's her problem. So men, you do have most of the responsibility on you to stop overpopulating. I'm going to continue on with this video later on, in this series of overpopulation, because I've got some really good guests that will come on, and we'll talk about overpopulation and why, and what we can do about it a little bit. But the why has to be discussed. So I'm going to go down this way. The clouds haven't come in. It's cold and foggy and slightly windy, and I'm just starting to feel some heat coming on as I look up at a huge skyscraper, which you cannot video because it's copyrighted and YouTube won't let me put it up. We have many structures here in San Francisco that are against the law for you to film, take pictures of, or even do documentaries on, because even though many of them were bought and paid for by the people, such as the Golden Gate Bridge, somebody was able to manipulate that so that they get all this money for charging photographers money to do that type of thing, a lot of money. So that's why I don't go downtown too much or show the city in too much detail. So let's talk about politics for a quickie here. 1.5 trillion is what the Pentagon got to spend on the war budget. Well, last night was a discussion over Medicare for All, and they were shocked at the price tag. They weren't shocked at the military price tag, but at the Medicare for All price tag. The priorities. I don't know, we better move on here. Who knows what's going on? Jesus Christ. Never a dull moment, huh? So that's what blew my mind. It wasn't that they were picking on Bernie Sanders, the Democratic problem. See, the Democrats don't really want a lefty in office because they'll be affected just like the right-wingers will be affected. They'll actually have to pay their taxes. Watch out for the poor and that kind of thing. No more giveaways to the wealthy. But what else would you expect from two corporate parties, the Democrats and Republicans? The Bernie problem, what to do about it. So you might be wondering, where is the board comments? How come we're not seeing those? Well, the problem is that I was putting it out in the hallway of our building and letting people talk about what they wanted to on the board, write it down, and then I'd make a video about it. But the other day I had it out there again, and the board disappeared. So I was kind of irritated that somebody in our building would steal the board. I went to go get a new one, and on the way there, Foot Express, there was the board against a garage door. All fine and dandy. So we have the board back. But there's something over there you have to look at. Let's set the camera and look at it.